What defines a high-quality, out-of-school time arts program? And what does it take to engage urban, low-income youth in these programs when there are so many other options? The Wallace Foundation set out to answer both questions. They explore the issues in depth with experts, including urban youth and their families, researchers, academics, and the staffs of some of the nation's best arts programs. This video contains excerpts of our discussion with Elizabeth CUSHING.
Playworks started on the premise that there was a problem that principals have in the schools that we could help solve. And by solving that problem, we would also achieve other impacts that we thought were important for children's health and well-being. But we did start from a place of what do the principals and teachers need? And the thing that they needed was help with the chaos and negative behavior at recess. So we go into schools and say, how's recess? And the answer is invariably, it's the worst time in the school day. It's the most, there are the most injuries, there are the most fights, and actually it's a detractor from teaching and learning. So we approach that problem with a solution, which is a well-trained, enthusiastic adult to come in and focus on that unstructured time in the school day to teach the kids how to play. Everything depends on that one coach. So the recruitment and hiring of that person, we invest a lot of resources in that and in understanding what processes work well, what interview questions work well, what recruitment activities work well to get us the best candidates for the job. One of the lessons we happily learned is that kids are kids everywhere. That what Playworks does is as effective in Los Angeles as it is in the Twin Cities, as it is in Denver or Detroit. That absolutely was true. And we thought it was true, even though the adults in those cities, when we arrived, many of them would say, oh, our kids are different. You're not going to get them to play together well. You're not going to get them to get along. And those adults were wrong. The kids are the kids everywhere. So that was a happy lesson learned. The flip side of that is adults are not the same everywhere. And the districts operate very differently. The cultural values of a city really matter. So my first piece of advice to anyone who wants to scale up is one, have a lot of energy and get that this is going to be fun and it's going to be hard and you're going to make a lot of mistakes and it's a big learning opportunity. So you need people around you who are up for that. Another piece of advice I would offer is get very clear before you start about what your core business is. What is essential to achieving the change you want to achieve? And if there's something you're doing in your home operation that you're doing because you like it or because some funder liked it or some client liked it, but it's not actually absolutely essential to achieving the change you're trying to achieve, don't scale it. Scaling is tiring. It is full of bumps in the road and it's really exhausting. If we had stopped at any point along the way to catch our breath since 2005, so that's been 7 years of growth, I think we wouldn't have picked up again. We are very open to making mistakes and talking about those mistakes. Making mistakes is held up as a positive here, and that's why we're able to improve our operations year over year because we recognize that what we knew in 2005 wasn't enough to do this well, and now in 2012 we need to take what we've learned and really apply it. I think at the national level, our success is largely based on having remained true to the core business of what we do. So the program that you see in Newark, in Jackson, Mississippi, in Detroit is the same program you see here in California. And we allow for the natural flexibility, the natural adjustments that happen in the environment of a particular school. But the balance between you must do it Playworks this way and we can adjust to the principal or the school or even the built environment is somehow we've struck the right balance to be able to maintain program fidelity while still accommodating the people that we're serving. I think that's why we succeed. The other thing I suggest you get clear about is what is flexible and what isn't. So in Playworks' case, It is not flexible around whether you can have only some of the components. You must have recess and you must have the 4 ancillary components. So there are schools that we talked to who said, well, we'd love to have just your junior coach program and your after school program, but we don't have recess, so we don't want that. And we said, I'm sorry, we can't work with you. You have to be willing to turn down opportunities that don't fit, that aren't going to really serve your scaling plan, because they're only going to be a distraction and a drain of resources. So while it was hard to say no, and we've said no to cities, in fact, that didn't have enough commitment to recess for us to be there, that was absolutely the right decision. So you've got to be willing to say no. Once we shifted from trying to grow Playworks to trying to make it possible for every kid in America to get to play every day, our decision metrics changed. So now the question we ask ourselves is, how many schools in Portland, Oregon does it take to inspire the rest of the Pacific Northwest? Does it take 100 schools? I don't think so. I think it takes maybe 40. And that means that we can stop our direct service scaling, which is the most resource intensive piece of scaling, and focus instead on shining a light on those 40 schools to inspire more people to change. So when your goal is building the biggest organization, you're going to make decisions differently than when your goal is a visionary change in a system. So sustainability now depends on being able to convince enough people in enough communities to continue to support their local operation so that the kids in their community can thrive. That feels to me like a very feasible challenge, something we can absolutely achieve.
For more in-depth discussion of the research findings, we invite you to read the full report and to watch the project videos.